Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Fighter Heart podcast. Today, I'm sitting here with Mike. What's up, Mike?
Not too much. How are you?
Nothing much. Thanks for taking the time, by the way. We really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. If you could, we'd like to get into it right away here. If you could just give us a little brief rundown about who you are, your upbringing, where you grew up, and get into your Fighter Heart story. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Michael Paye. I come out of Warren, Michigan. It's a suburb of Detroit. Um, got involved in wheelchair basketball around the age of 9 years old. At that time, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I was more or less playing with able bodies and this and that, and not really involved in anything wheelchair related. Basically, went to a track and field practice on my crutches at the time, and everybody was using wheelchairs and whatnot. And I went from being on crutches on that first practice to getting a wheelchair quickly after, and pretty much fast forward from there. I mean, life really just took off in terms of wheelchair sports and high goals. So we started a wheelchair basketball team in the Sterling Heights area, which is right next to Warren. I think I was around the age 10 or 11. I actually
Right.
played with Matt Scott on that team, who you talked to,
Mhm.
and played there for the next 6, 7 years until I graduated. And then I was able to have a scholarship to the University of Texas Arlington, which
Sweet.
is one of the collegiate basketball teams. It's expanded a lot since my time. And then at the conclusion of my collegiate time, I was recruited to play in Germany. Oddly enough, I stayed ever since. So I've been in Germany playing professionally more or less on and off since 2006. I played 14 years straight on a club called RSV Landil. And then I took a break after the Paralympics in Tokyo and just recently came back in 2023. Yes, when my son was born. And now I played the last 2 seasons with a club called the Rhine River Rhinos, which is based out of Wiesbaden, not too far away from the Frankfurt area. And to be crazy and to really come back full circle for me, I'm actually going back to Londale this upcoming season to be both player and the head coach. Um, yeah.
Is that common? People are a coach and a player?
No, 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 not right now. But I'm happy to say that I'm getting that opportunity. I saw that you interviewed Brian Bell, so Brian Bell played with me on a club team, this club team, RSV Londale, years ago. And yeah, so I've known a lot of the guys that you have interviewed in terms of the basketball world. I played in 4 Paralympic Games, and I was at five. The fifth one, this most recent one in Paris, I was an assistant coach. So I'm very familiar, and I would say somewhat well respected across the USA wheelchair basketball team.
Are you like semi-retired, or is it you thinking
No, no,
something?
I just I think it's hard to do that in our sport, like retire. I mean, nobody really knows when the body really is going to stop, or like with our sport, it's not about obviously your knees and whatnot. If you're taking care of yourself, upper body wise, obviously mental health is maybe the top in my opinion right now. If all of that's quite stable and you're having fun, I mean, really, why not keep going? I've taken a break from the national team in terms of being an active player since Tokyo. I mean, that did take its toll. The COVID year and no fans in the stands there, just to fight through the summer to be able to train and be with the guys was pretty hard. And I think some of us knew that we would stop there or maybe take a long break. And so I chose to take the long break, and just cool how some things kind of fell back in my lap. Um, Ended up being an older parent, so my wife and I we brought a child into the world, and we were definitely in our late 30s, so that was an awesome surprise. His name is Otis, and it really just gave me like a of course a new outlook and a different spark. And I was just talking with my wife one day, and I said, you know what, I really think I want to play again. And it wasn't forced, it was just the right timing. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks.
When was he born, Otis?
2023 in June, so he'll be
Oh,
two. literally, yeah, in a few weeks here.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
wait, so let me rewind. So you said
Yeah,
when you were
sure.
9,
Yeah.
you were already in a wheelchair, right?
I was born with my disability. Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't say that. Sorry. So I was born with a disability called arthrogryposis, and it affects my lower body more or less, lower extremities. Um, it's basically a bone muscle disease that you have congenital. The positive of our disability of what we have is more or less what you're born with is what you're working with. Doesn't it's not progressive or anything like that. So
Mhm.
lots of hurdles for anybody who has what I have, but basically lots of surgeries and things like that till about the age of 10, which is why I more or less wanted to go the route of wheelchairs when I actively went to that practice and saw I could be so much faster using a wheelchair. And unfortunately back then, that was labeled as a failure kind of, it's just the way it was, obviously. I was born in 1983, so you're a lot of people, they wish you would walk and things like that. And that's fair. I don't have any bad feelings about how it was then, but props to my parents. They listened to what I wanted, what I thought was best. And yeah, it sparked, honestly, from the age of 9 or 10 years old, getting a wheelchair. And it's crazy to say it then too, but like basketball chairs weren't so popular for us at that age. So I didn't even get a wheelchair to play basketball in, I think, until I was like 15 years old. So I was playing in
Yeah.
an everyday wheelchair until I was about 15.
So you've seen the whole progression of how much more popular it keeps getting,
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It started off not really anyone knew about wheelchair
Mhm.
basketball, right? In 90s.
For sure. I would say, again, like it really took off right around the time I got involved. My first Paralympics was 2004. And I was young, I was 20 or 21, but like a lot of us were almost laughing at the saying, oh, there's club teams that will pay you in Europe. Like we really just didn't believe it, honestly. I have multiple teammates that they were older than me at that time, but they just didn't buy into it and things like that. The good thing is we also had a couple guys who were older who were doing it. So we knew there were clubs paying. We just didn't know how fast it was really growing in Europe. So with the professional leagues here in Europe and the collegiate league back in the US, and of course our national team, with that being the target, in my opinion, it really just took off because there were so many of us who wanted to go overseas. There were so many great players who were already in the States playing on their club team and, running their lives in terms of having jobs and whatnot to find a way to be able to train as much as they could. But, jumping forward, that's what sparked a lot of interest in a lot of us. And obviously myself, I can say that knowing I was going to get paid some money and be able to play full time, the
Mhm.
pull was incredible to just say, I'll go do it for 1 or 2 years, right? And then it just kept going and kept going. And once
Why
my,
do you
yeah,
have a theory? Because I haven't asked anyone this yet. Do
yeah.
you have a theory on why you think it got popular in 2004 around there?
I mean,
Was it the internet?
there was it's just a great wheelchair team sport, like
Yeah.
being able to have a competitive field in terms of playing with any kind of disability. I do think that was also a big part. You take someone like me who was born with their disability, not wanting to get in a wheelchair. Well, obviously, it's the same for anybody who is an amputee, right? An amputee who had an injury, they didn't want to get in a wheelchair too, I would say mostly. And so when you get that competitive drive from any kind of disability, and then, because we have the classification thing as well, that wheelchair basketball gives you the equal playing field where any kind of disability you have, it just translates into what's needed on a wheelchair basketball team. For example, high paralysis up to someone like Brian Bell that you interviewed, being one of the top 4 or 5s as an amputee. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how it happened. Oh, is your disability like genetic or
yeah.
is
Well, they think that's where it's really hard to pinpoint it. You know, they think yes, but like there's no like specific answer to it. It's
so
just
Otis is all good then?
yeah. Well, I was worried, but he is
Yeah.
all. no doubt. Yeah,
Okay.
that was part of the process of waiting 9.5 months. And anytime you wait to know, of course, anything, or sorry, anyone in anybody's shoes would think the same thing. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is a little bit more when you're disabled and you were disabled from birth. There's no doubt it was on my mind. It was just, I think, quite natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, we all dealt with our disabilities, great, but yeah, it's he's off to a great start, not having to jump through some hurdles like that, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be when as he gets older though, he'll be watching your highlights and stuff. I mean, I was talking to someone recently. They were saying like they shouldn't have any barriers. Like even able-bodied people should be able to play wheelchair basketball, right?
For sure.
Like that's
And
something a
that
lot
is
of
how
you.
it is in the
Yeah.
European world. Yeah. So we have able bodies playing here in the German league. And it does give you some better competition. Like I understand both sides of it, but it is nice. There's probably three active players here in Germany right now that are able-bodied that are really great for the sport. That when
Hmm.
they do stop playing, I think the impact of the German league will feel it. Whereas in the U.S., we have so many athletes, that's why the debate is fair. I mean, it does make sense back in the U.S., of course.
Yeah, like I mean, is it really are they I get I would think the opposite that they weren't as good as you guys because you've been playing like that your whole life.
Right.
So I would think that they wouldn't be better. Like if LeBron James got in a wheelchair, I feel like I don't think he'd be that much better than anyone else that's already been
For sure.
playing their
I
whole
mean,
life.
right, especially the way you sit in your chair and you got to get everything measured out the right way. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
getting used to the chair itself. I mean, I don't see. I feel like that levels the playing field right there.
for sure. I mean, that's why I would say just anybody who is able-bodied, if they want to play, then you just actively want them training a lot, being around a lot, and that's when they would belong with a team. But yeah,
Mhm.
just to get in a chair and play, it for sure wouldn't work at the highest
Yeah,
level. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are.
right.
Like, all right, can we go back a little too? So,
Yeah.
high school's when you like got really into it. Were you just like from the age of 10, that's it? Everything wheelchair basketball all year
Well,
round?
yeah, basically, I mean, honestly, when I was probably about 13 years old, I had goals of making the Paralympic team. Um, I was lucky enough to live in the Detroit area where we had the Canadian channel as well, with our TV system. I'm sorry, our TV cable, and just came across Paralympic game one day, Canada versus someone in the Paralympics, right? And I was like, I heard about it, but I had never really seen, anything on that level on TV. And so that sparked more and more interest. And I was lucky. I came from an area, again, being from the Detroit area, where there were many people who were on the Paralympic teams over the years. So we knew those guys, but seeing it on TV at that time, it was just like, oh, that was the ultimate dream. So I grew up with the Fab Five era, which was University of Michigan back in the day. So watching them on TV and Pistons with the bad boys back in the day. I'm making myself sound older, but I know I am.
Isaiah Thomas, yeah.
Exactly. I was young when they were really great, but I mean the hype of my family, my uncles, my cousins, my aunts, all of it. Just the hype of being from a Detroit area and the sports town feel. I was just always loving sports. So basketball was the clear front runner because, yeah, I mean, football wasn't really a thing for anybody in a wheelchair. And it is now, but not back then. It was just not so, highly pushed.
What was the experience like in high school being in a wheelchair? Did you have like friends that were in wheelchairs? I'm sure not that many.
Yeah. So in my school, no, I was the only person in a wheelchair in my high school. So
Mhm.
for sure, a lot of ups and downs with
Yeah.
that. Like I had great friends, had so many people who always had my back, and that was awesome. But you did have the lonely feel. I had the lonely feeling quite often, just because my friends were playing on the football team and the basketball team, and it was great. They included me a bunch. I was manager of the basketball team, doing the scoring book and stuff because a lot of my friends were on that team. But yeah, that's where a lot of the division was, going home and for sure struggling on and off. But,
Mhm.
again, props to my family. They really always kept me going and, really, one thing I'll say is like my dad knew how hard I was training for basketball and, he made sure that he really told me that like don't play that off as something, I'm trying to think how I want to say that.
Mhm.
He would just tell me like, don't act like you're not training as hard as your friends. They just don't see what you're doing, how you're committed to the sport. So you're going places, your friends are going places, but like, yeah, basically he was one of the guys who really kept me like in line with, making sure I understood the hard work I was putting in.
Are both your parents able-bodied too?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm the
Uh,
youngest in the family. My parents um, are over 70 now, in their lower 70s, and I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me, and my sister is 2 years older than me. So for sure, growing up with a disability that was, of course, unplanned and just something that nobody saw coming. But I
yeah.
was raised completely like my brother and sister, fights, all the fun stuff. My
Yeah.
brother, my brother had the edge on me the entire time growing up, but my sister and I, we definitely had some some years where we weren't the closest. And but yeah, I mean, you got to go through it, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's sibling rivalry. It's a real
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So what age was there a specific age or a specific moment where you realized like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, like I can make this like a career kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that the hunger and so like when we were in college, okay, I guess I can say we because like you interviewed some of the guys like Matt Scott and myself, for example, even though we grew up together, we went to different universities because we felt like that was best for us in terms of basketball, trying to target the national team. And then, you just start competing and competing and competing. And then you always see the same two teams when I was in college. So for us growing up and at that time, you knew that it was a healthy competition, but like all of us were trying to get on a national team, and we had to fight through not only each other, in the collegiate division is, we're trying to catch up to the older guys, the adults and stuff that were doing a great job. But of course, it's something that we wanted, and I think around that time was when the hunger really hit because we had junior USA teams too. And I was lucky enough to play on one when I was 18. And then I got to play on the second one. And that was awesome because I was the oldest on the team. And we had a really, really awesome group, which a lot of us end up playing on the Paralympic team from that team. So there was just a lot of momentum, I would say, within groups of people that we had too. It wasn't just I was doing this, I was doing that. Like I think we did a lot of us did the right things by getting around the right people. I don't take full credit. I don't give my family full credit on the success too. Like I do believe if you're around the right people with a lot of things you do in life, then you kind of go down the right road and
Mhm.
you're able to, yeah, just get a better shot at your goals.
Was there a specific person that came into your life and was like kind of like a mentor or like that helped you get to the next level?
I think it's all timing, for sure. When I was younger, I would say, my brother was for sure a huge mentor. I definitely had a mentor in college, Paul Schulte. I had a mentor when I came over here and
Mm.
played professionally, Joey Johnson, a Canadian. So just the right things. And it worked out great, right? But like I made sure I always gave back. And I felt like I did a great job of that too for people that were behind me because ultimately it was just the right way I thought of doing things was be competitive, teach the game, be a great teammate. And yeah, I have very strong feelings about that, about giving back because so many people were good to me when I was younger, able-bodied people in wheelchairs. It's just, yeah, I'm very grateful.
Awesome. What are some of your like most memorable highlights you can remember like of your career so far? Like Was it Paris? Any
Yeah,
Olympic games? Yeah.
I'm super proud to say I'm a member of the three-peat. I was co-captain in 2016 when we secured one of the first gold medals for the U.S. in a long time. It was something like 28-year drought that we were able to get the monkey off our backs with that. And then we followed it up with the COVID one, which was really hard again with the fans and just knowing that the games might get canceled was probably the craziest part of getting through that summer. You know, again, I give a lot of credit to my teammates helping each other get through that. And for sure, Paris was super special. A coach of mine that was the head coach for 2016 in the 2021 games was Ron Likens, and he told me coaching is going to be something different for you, but you're going to do a great job at it. But you'll see that it's very gratifying to see other athletes get their moment, and you just see it from a different angle. And so that was really special. It was weird to not be on the floor when everybody's getting their medals, but to be on the sideline, to stand with the rest of the staff and listen to the national anthem and really know what both of the feelings, really mean to you. I wouldn't say that changed. It just, you really do have like a pretty cool experience to see guys really get the moment. And, they're obviously, you always want more, but it's cool to see them hit a dream of theirs.
Yeah, it's an I can imagine. Are you like drawing up plays and stuff? Like what's your role in the team? Is it like
Yeah. So
motivational?
it's crazy. Like, I decided, like I said, to take the break after Tokyo, and then it kind of just fell in my lap a little bit. Like Rob Taylor had taken over, which was our assistant coach for Ron Likens, and then he just had asked me if I wanted to help out, and I had talked with my wife about the break and this and that. Thought it was a great opportunity, and yeah, I mean, I had a great time teaching and doing video and being able to explain a lot of the way certain national teams played. In my opinion, I was able to do a good job of saying what their style was and things like that. But the biggest thing was I had the respect of the room because they had known I was more or less a co-captain at times, a leader at certain points that were needed, but also just super experienced. So I think that part was quite natural for me, and I had a great time doing it. It was just also really more or less easy this time to be able to take a break from that too, just because, yeah, that sparked my family life too. I didn't know Otis was going to be in the picture. So during that whole coaching time, it's awesome that's the probably the most beautiful part, right? Is that he came into the world and I was able to just, yeah, see life through a different lens
And
again.
they were all there with you, right, in Paris?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they weren't able to stay all the way till the gold medal game, unfortunately. Again, he was pretty young at that time, but 100%. They came over and spent, I want to say, about a week, but it made sense for them to get out. Those games were so late. I don't know if you're aware of that part, but like we played our crossover games, every single game when we played, I want to say was like 9 o'clock at night, local
In
time
Paris, like you
in
start.
Paris.
Okay.
Right. So like of course, no families were missing games. I'm not saying like that was a factor, but for sure with our child being super young at that time, that was there was just no way. Even if he was in there, he would have been sleeping on my wife laying his lap, and it would be not. You almost just yeah. At that point, it was like I'm gonna watch, but I'm just gonna be at home. I'm like, oh no, I know
Yeah.
that's totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot because he was like 1 year old, right? I guess.
Right. Yeah. So 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 year, 3 months ish. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot. And people
Yeah.
screaming in the stadium and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta throw headphones on him or something.
Right. Right. Yeah. I did. He didn't like the headphones.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. He wasn't for it.
Yeah. That's funny. So okay, where was it gonna go next? So um oh, I just lost my train of thought where I was going. Oh, we were gonna say the next step for you, I guess, is coaching, right? Like, but you're going to be like a player coach, kind of like Michael Jordan on the Bobcats, kind of thing, like, like that.
Well, so I mean, it is a smaller sport in some ways. This is probably one of the first times this club is going that route, but I'm really excited that I'm getting that opportunity. And that's why I give a huge shout out to my former club team, the Rhine River Rhinos. Like they believed in me doing both playing and coaching. So I just wrapped up 2 seasons with them, and we definitely made some history with that team in terms of really pushing it forward. And that was awesome because that was the first team that gave me the chance to both play and coach. And I do believe that it also springed me back into this opportunity, which is much closer to my house. So that's also another reason why I was very open to the idea. I was about a 1 hour drive to the Rhine River Rhinos Club on a good day, and here I'll be about 20 minutes away from my house. So, just that part alone, in terms of being a family life kind of guy now too, that there were certain aspects of the decision, but like I'm super excited to go back to my former club and give it another run with a new position, a new outlook. Oddly enough, there's one guy still left on the team that I had played with, who's a German,
Mm.
and that would be cool to be reunited. So he joined the team. His name is Tommy Boma. He joined the team when he was 18 years old. So now we're joining
Wow.
forces where I'm in my low 40s and he's in his mid 30s. So it'd be pretty cool to kind of have that full circle moment too.
Awesome. You think you guys have like a good team this year?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's probably in every country, let's say in Europe, let's say Germany, Spain, France, Turkey. I'm sure I just missed one there. But anyway, you basically have top four teams. For sure, some of the leagues can be a little bit deeper, but in terms of like big, bigger budgets, things like that, where you can get players in. So it's going to be exciting just to have a new opportunity. I think that the top four teams in Germany have been the same for a while. The top four teams in Spain, they can shuffle every now and then. But anyway, what I'm trying to just get to, it's cool to get a new opportunity to try to get to the top part, which is Champions League,
Mm.
and that's basically the top four teams make it to that, and that was just played this past weekend in Istanbul. So that's what your ultimate goal is when you're here
Mhm.
in the European leagues. If you can be on a team that's in a Champions League, so that'll be a cool opportunity. This team will be involved in that. Maybe the Rhine River Rhinos will be too, but we didn't enter that this past season.
Yeah, and then you got the Olympics in 3 years, something like that.
Right.
Mm.
2028
In
is
LA.
LA. I'm not sure if I will go down that road and be involved, but it's so cool just to know that it's at home, that it's in LA. Like, if I'm not a part of it in any way, I will be back. I will be there in attendance with my teammates and friends. Like, there's no doubt I'll be there. I'll be a part of it. I just don't know in what
What capacity?
exactly.
Got you. So what is your training regimen look like now compared to what Tokyo, 2021?
Yeah. So I'm basically more or less 5 days a week. Tuesday through Friday, I'm always with the club team, and then you have a game on Saturday or Sunday. We played our home games on Sunday, so for us it's called the Bundesliga. You play a game every weekend, so it's really cool. I mean, it can be for sure difficult too, in terms of being on the road, blah blah blah. But what is nice is you get a lot of time to pinpoint how you're going to play games because you have one game a week, and then training is just, yeah, it's the people's job, right? They got to be there.
Are you
And
practicing every day?
I will be again, yeah, coming up. I think I'll be every day but Monday this upcoming season. This past season was pretty much the same. So once you pass Christmas, it gets really important because you have tournaments that are crossover with other European clubs that give you rankings to move into something like Champions League, for example. And those are the ones you got to be ready for. Those are the ones you have to peak for, or you got to play injured and play through. I mean, a lot of us have been in those shoes before too. So
Yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, I could obviously go down that road and spend a lot of time explaining that, but you don't want to. You wouldn't want to hear all that because it is a complicated system. But like I said, the cool part is a lot of us have been able to play versus each other. For example, Matt Scott, he played in Istanbul for years, and we always had the same goal of making that Champions Cup. It was great. I grew up with him. We're basically brothers, and we would see each other, and it would be like, all right, cool. We've played against each other in college, right? We've played against each other way too many times in national team practice, and then we were able to play versus each other, on those levels too. And that was the coolest part, in my opinion, to kind of go down that road with national team guys and see them at these competitions where we knew we were sacrificing our time, away from the U.S. because our ultimate goal was Paralympic teams gold medal. Like I'm not going to beat around the bush. Those were for sure the goals of coming overseas, and I'm just happy I share that with other athletes, other friends, other brothers of mine, that it's not just something I did. And
That's what
that,
everyone says the same thing. Like uh Paralympic basketball is more a team sport than, NBA or college basketball for
for sure.
instance.
I
Yeah.
mean, wheelchair basketball in general, like it is that way. You can't go one on one all the
There's
time. Think about it. There could be 9 wheelchairs in the key itself.
yeah.
Like you're not going to get all the way to the rim, based on position and things like that. So it's just really, really cool when you really have a good team and you're playing for each other and you click. If you click at the right time, I'm just happy I've been on teams that I can say we did that. I've been on teams that haven't been. There's no doubt. I mean, things were not always easy in terms of, well, it never was easy. I'm saying things weren't always the way our culture is now. So it's
Yeah.
just cool to be a part of the ups and downs. You got to go through it. It's not. I'm so happy I went through the downs. It definitely shaped who
You
I
gotta
am.
have the downs to have the ups, right? That's what they
Yeah.
say. There's no one, and then I was gonna say, there's no one really dropping 30 a game in bet like
I
you.
mean, yeah, you'll cross it, but like it's
Yeah,
not common, like if
there's no
there's a guy
Wilt
scoring,
Chamberlain.
right, if
Yeah,
there's a guy scoring 30 a game, in the Paralympics or whatever, like everybody knows,
yeah,
game plans are going to be catered to stop someone like that, even if you have to double team them. And a double team in our sport, it's not easy to score once you're a double team. So,
yeah. I can't
yeah,
imagine. Yeah.
right. But
Uh,
we definitely have guys who, no doubt, they get close to 30, if not over it, in the big moments. So that's why they're big time players.
is there a stat person that keeps track of everyone's stats and stuff like NBA,
I think, yeah,
college?
I think it's in a database,
So
within
there's like an all-time leading scorer and
in
everything.
the Paralympics. Absolutely. There has to be. There's definitely
Yeah.
an all time leading scorer. There's probably high scorer. I wouldn't be surprised if there's high rebounder, high assist, maybe most free throws made in a tournament,
Mm.
highest field goal percentage. I'm sure that over the years, stats are such a big thing worldwide anyway. I would really think, in the Paralympics that there is someone who has track of it.
Yeah, I'm interested to know who that person is.
Same here. Now that you
You,
said
yeah, like
that.
is there like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that's like just way above everyone? Actually, LeBron passed him, so I guess not.
Well, I mean, and again, in our sport, there's just longevity. There's guys who may have played in, 5 to 7 Paralympics, so they might be the ones who are, at the top of scoring. I have no idea. But yeah, it really is a good question.
Yeah. What about in your league in Germany? Like, I forgot the name of the league that you said, but are there
It's
stat
called,
people?
yeah. So any top league in Germany is called the Bundesliga. Like even Bundesliga for like track and field, like any sport that has like the organization, there is a Bundesliga.
Mm.
So yeah, there's definitely someone who keeps track of, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
it's nice because we have live stats from every team in the league, and it does make my job a lot easier to be able to click a button and see what guys are scoring and averaging as coach, right? Like I
Yeah.
do need to make sure I I'm telling guys certain information like that, but it's nothing too crazy. And what coming back to the whole thing about Europe, what's really cool just playing in Europe in general is you play against everybody in the world. This past year, I had a guy who started on our team from Japan. I had players from Australia. I had a guy from Iran. Of course, I had Germans on the team. I had a player from Switzerland. Myself being from the U.S., I had an up and comer from the U.S. Who came and joined us in the second half of the season. Just cool stuff like that.
Diverse, yeah.
Yeah, you really learn that everyone's background is different. Everyone was raised different ways, you know, so from strict to easygoing.
Yeah.
Language is a big issue in terms of playing in Europe. If you're in France, for example, if you're not able to understand French and stuff, maybe that club team isn't speaking English. You never know. So there is a lot of ups and downs to that part too. So if you get involved in the right club that's best suit for you, normally, it's probably English based because it is so international.
Yeah, yeah. English is almost pretty much the international language at this
For
point.
sure.
Yeah,
100. Yeah.
yeah, it's all over. All right, awesome. So we're coming up to the end here.
Yeah.
I guess before we go, real quick, the I wanted to get into the rules. How different are the rules from regular basketball, like able-bodied basketball in wheelchair?
I mean,
Like
I would
dribble, like
say
how do you
only,
can you travel? You can
yeah, for
travel.
sure. I mean, if you have to dribble every two pushes. But like at the elite level, you wouldn't even know. You would only know if like guys are spinning and they're not dribbling, if they're spinning, spinning, spinning. But it's in NBA, you have so many push or steps they get away with, right?
Yeah, like
It's the same
four.
with us.
Yeah.
You're going to get away with three pushes or whatever, as long as you're just not doing something ridiculous.
Hmm.
Um, Double dribble is a big one though, for sure, because you can protect the ball, way
Yeah.
more, especially at the elite level. You've got to be able to protect the ball. So the double dribble part it's crucial for us. Even just two hands on the ball, being able to power dribble. You can't do that in able-bodied basketball besides the one time or whatever. And that's a big one for us because you definitely need to be able to, like I said, protect the ball. And I think the other one,
Are there 3-second violations where you can't be in
but
the
you
paint?
can't pin somebody in. And that's a good question. So, like, if you were to get inside the key and you wanted the ball and you didn't get it, I couldn't come down with two other teammates and pin you in there. The referee would not be able to would not be able to call 3 seconds on you. So that's cool too.
Yeah.
That it's not like, oh, I got to throw the ball up because my teammate stuck in the key. And I'm sure maybe that's why they stopped that rule, because it probably started looking ridiculous.
Yeah.
We had it in college too for a while when we were younger, but you learn to adapt to the rules. I'm just saying, like that was a hard part. Guys get inside, you couldn't get them the ball, you had to like throw it up. So I think the collegiate rules back in the U.S. have changed too for the better. So
Are they 12
yeah,
minute quarters too?
10
And
minutes. Yeah, international is 4 times 10 minute, 8 seconds across half court. So pressing in the international game is a huge thing right now.
oh wow.
24-second shot clock. Offensive rebound only resets it to 14, so it's super fast paced. I think our gold medal game was mid 70s the score, which is pretty awesome. If you combine that, basically 150 points scored in a game with very good defense played. That's not like all-star type going down and behind the back blah 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 layup. I mean, that's really high quality defense. Obviously, I think that's something all of us on the last Paralympic teams with the U.S., whether I was playing or coach, just to say we had the best defense in the tournament really, really gives you a lot of gratification with that too.
Yeah, it's cool. Is everyone like pretty much well-rounded players, or are there like guys that'll just be like camping out in the corner like a Kyle Korver or something that just hits
Yeah, I mean,
threes?
it is a really good question. For sure, I've had teammates that would bring something to the table that you could really utilize. But I would say over the last um, three Paralympics, let's say, the target seemed like, and I was a part of one of the staffs, but the target was all around basketball players, versatile players, guys that that really could play the team game. You know, like yeah, there was a really really cool system in play
Someone who
just
could do
based.
everything. You know,
Yeah, you know, like a motion offense, be able to guard everybody, and yeah, one-on-one cuts can be a big thing in our sport. So being able to stop guys like that, you know, is a significant thing to be able to say that because there's elite speed across the world.
yeah, I
You
could
be able to
imagine.
stop certain guys individually, for sure. That's going to be. I wasn't great at that, to be honest with you, stopping guys that were awesome at cutting, but I felt like I was a great team defender, and I was fully aware if the fastest guy in the world was coming my way, that I would for sure communicate to the guy next to me. Yeah,
Oh,
that was my.
this is a good one. Can you draw a charge?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You don't get knocked over, right?
Oh yeah, for your chair's going, with you. There's ski straps, all of that stuff. So,
There's no flopping though.
oh yeah, there's flopping.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
just really.
Oh
So
no, yeah,
I
no.
can't. Like that's a lot to like flop to just fall over like for that, like out of your wheelchair.
I mean, guys will do it. I mean,
That's a
that's why I'm still playing. I wasn't known for flopping and things like that, so I think that's also why my body's still intact.
yeah,
Those guys who may have been flopping for the last whatever 15 years, I would feel strongly to say that they're probably feeling it on some days.
gotta you have
Yeah,
to right like that's pretty that's like dedication right there actually
for
like
sure.
that's not just like
It's dangerous in our sport to fall backwards if you get hit the wrong way. So, there were guys that were doing that too, over the years. That's why, again, just playing on a national team and things like that, you definitely have to be together because you just don't know, what you're going to see from other matchups with national teams. And I know guys who've been injured in league play, that you find out who did it, and those people, not fun for them, if they have a label of injuring someone. So
yeah. Are you I mean I guess I know this is true, but like people are calling plays, right? Like calling for isolations and stuff like that. Like
yeah, for sure. Hot
yeah,
hand stuff,
yeah.
a lot of pick and roll,
Heat
lot
checks.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
so cool.
worldwide. In my opinion, I do think that's kind of like present
Hmm.
in basketball, both able-bodied and in wheelchairs. I think guys don't go away from a hot hand.
Yeah, it's super cool. I gotta watch. Is it on ESPN? Like, is it like an internet thing? I want to
I
know
mean,
how
I
much.
would say big time with YouTube at the moment.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. So our main organization is IWBF. That's what has all of the national team things
Mhm.
like that. But the NWBA just had their national tournament, and that wasn't too long ago. So there's definitely some recent footage. A lot of the European leagues, I would say, are also put up on YouTube. So yeah, that part's crazy too. Just to be able to click a button and see so much live too, not just like go back and watch what's happened the last couple years or whatever, or last month. Like you can click a button and watch a lot live now, which is super super cool.
Yeah, even on YouTube, you can watch live now. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. All right, cool. So we're at the end here. Can you give us? We always like to end like this. If you could give your younger self some advice when you were going through some hard times, or someone who's a kid that was maybe born with the same disability, what's some advice you would give to your younger self or that person?
Yeah, I mean, it always hits deep questions like that. I think that for myself, I would say, keep going. Things are not always um, what you wanted them to be, but like just keep going, keep working hard. Um, Keep the ones you love close to you. They're the ones who understand you the most. Um, don't change groups of people you're hanging out with. I think your friends are, so important, especially in those pivotal years of teenage years. And yeah, I mean that's probably the deepest part that I really say. I mean, I'm super proud. I did that, in those significant years for myself. And then to somebody, with my disability, similar or anything arthrogryposis related, I think it's so cool. Play every sport. Don't pinpoint playing one sport. Like grow up. If sports are your thing, play everything. Learn how to have fun in every sport. Um, there's too much pressure these days of people, convincing you to go down certain roads. Like I think being an all around athlete is something I would really, really push anybody to do these days. And if you're not in sports, that's totally fine. I would also say the same thing, if you're into reading and things like that, like just stay involved in other parts of your academics too, because just being a well-rounded person, it just gets you so far in the world. And I think it also makes you understand people very well.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. You're in Germany, so
I am, yeah.
what time is it over there?
It's gonna be like 6:30 or 7.
Oh, it's
Is it
nighttime.
12:30 there?
It's 12:45. Yeah.
Yeah, so 6:45 here. So my son will be going to bed in about 45 minutes.
That's insane. All right. Well, you've been there 20 years, you said, right? On and
Yeah,
off.
yeah, this will be my 20th year coming up.
How does the culture compare to here in Germany?
Um, I mean, it's a really seasonal kind of culture here, right? Like Christmas time, super big on outdoor activities, like at Christmas markets where you're drinking like a hot spiced wine. But it's a really cool environment. Summertime, which we're approaching out here now, it really is awesome. It's such an outdoor country, more or less. So like beer gardens are bigger this time of the year. A lot of people start using their bikes for everything. You start seeing less traffic. I think the biggest thing I could say the difference is I come from an area where everybody drives, in the Detroit area, and here you can have life easily without a vehicle, trains, buses, really countrywide. You can probably get where you more or less need to.
Or you can drive absolutely as fast as you want on the Autobahn.
This is also true.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend if that's what somebody wants to do. If you're doing that, it on a Sunday is best because trucks are not allowed to drive without a special license. So Sunday driving, like if I take somebody from my family on a Sunday to the airport when they come visit me, I tell them buckle up, like for real, because not only if I'm not driving fast, but like really, those are the days where you see some
Yeah.
high class cars and they're letting it rip.
And I'm
And
so surprised there's not many accidents. Like people know what to do there.
yeah, I really explain it as organized chaos to a lot of people. It's no joke. Passing on the left is a real thing here. You pass on the left, slide back to the right. And like you almost have to do it that way with the speeds people drive. If people start weaving through traffic here, there's no doubt there would be accidents all the time. So
Yeah.
trucks stay all the way to the right, and the cars really do this left to right thing. And yeah, it's eye opening for people when they come over here and see it for the first time. But what is good is when there's a lot of traffic and things like that, they post speeds. You're not, it says what you have to drive. There's digital boards everywhere. So, Monday through Friday, rush hour traffic, there is no Autobahn.
Oh, okay.
It is a lot of what we know traffic to be, back in the US too. So yeah, nighttime, things like that. It opens up, or really early in the morning, maybe before guys start
Work.
going to work, especially now when the sun's up so early. For sure, you can get some distance covered and in a short amount of time.
That was one of my questions. I'm gonna be like, is there ever traffic? But I guess there is.
Oh
Yeah,
man, yeah.
for me, yeah.
I live like 45 minutes from Frankfurt, and seriously, some days if I had to go to the airport or whatever, like really, there after about 10 minutes leaving my town, it could be easily 1 hour in traffic just to get to the airport. And yeah, it is what it is.
You can't get away from traffic even
Yeah,
in
that's
the
why the
Autobahn.
trains are awesome here. Yeah, really. If you can take a train and you're going to work, it is pretty relaxing.
They have nicer trains, I assume. You're not in the Manhattan subway there.
Yeah, they're all of it. Subways, certain areas, but the high speed ones are pretty cool. I took a high speed train to Paris for the Paralympics from Frankfurt to Paris. That was awesome because it
Yeah.
was super fast. It was easily going 250 miles per hour. It was,
What?
yeah, in the country part of France. No joke. I have a couple of pictures. I was taking pictures. I was like, how is that even possible that we're going that fast? No joke. Let's call it 200 miles per hour, but it was wild to read 300 whatever kilometers per hour on a board. And I even
Yeah.
sent it to my wife. I was like, is this right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, when you're in the country part of France, they can do that. Like, wow.
I mean, here I'm in New York. The Long Island
Okay.
Railroad goes like 55 miles an hour, like
Yeah.
tops. Like that's it. Like
Right. And I would say it's pretty normal with that too here. It's just those fast ones. Yeah, I guess if you get the right route, it goes something crazy like that.
it's so interesting. I gotta get to Germany. I haven't been there.
For sure. Europe's great in general. I miss the US. I love it here. I'm very, open to both. I wish I could just go year round all around the world, but just not the way the world not the way my world works now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man, for taking the time, and giving us a little insight into your story. Is there any like social media or anything we can follow? Any websites?
My social media is Michael Paye USA 5
Okay.
and on Instagram. And then yeah, my name, Michael Paye on Facebook. I don't use either much, but I do try to use Instagram every now and then, especially when I was with the national teams. I did it quite often.
Awesome, man. We wish you best of luck to you and your family, and
Thank you.
hopefully you win again in LA.
I really appreciate it, man. It was really nice talking with you.
For sure, man. Everyone else, thank you again for watching another Fighter Heart podcast. We will see you again next week.